all the recording devices going. I've got a microphone in front of me, I've got a Canon there, and the iPhone over there. And I don't know if it's all gonna work or not, but I'm gonna try it anyway. And we're gonna see if I can do a 2-camera shoot in my creative space. Hi, I'm T. Nice to meet you officially for the first time on YouTube. I don't have a catchphrase. I would love a catchphrase because all of my favorite YouTubers have a catchphrase. I don't have one yet. I was thinking, hey, beautiful people, but I'm sure it's used. Come on. Everything's on YouTube already, right? Anyway, I don't have a catchphrase yet, and I don't have some really cool motion graphic intro either. I know exactly what I want to do. I just have to learn how to do it. So that'll come at some point. Purpose of this video is a TLDR of sorts. It's not very short, but it is a concise overview of who I am, where I'm at, and maybe where this channel is going to go in the future. We'll see. I don't really know where it's going to go, but hey, I can try anything. Who am I? What am I doing here? I've known for most of my life that I was different. When I was little, I didn't know transgender was a thing, but I knew that I was different and that I had a hard time fitting in. That's it. I just knew I was different. Much of that time, especially later as I was a little bit older and really started going to youth group and was old enough to pay attention to what was going on in church, I spent most of my childhood, teen years into college, feeling broken, feeling like I was a mistake. And I can tell you that really sucked. It sent me into not a deep, but a depressive state. I think it really started in high school, and I was depressed until probably last fall. I didn't know it most of the time, but I was. It wasn't until college that I figured out, hey, shit, I'm transgender. Thank you, unrestricted internet access. I went down some rabbit holes in college, and we'll just leave it at that. But it was confirmed. I knew exactly who I was, that I was trans, and I didn't want to deal with it because, again, that meant broken. That meant a mistake. God didn't make mistakes, and I buried it. I buried it deep. I decided that to get through this, that I was going to live in the box. I was going to be the son, and I was going to be the brother, and I was going to do the thing that people expected me to do. So, I got a job after college and met a girl and fell in love, and we got married very quickly and had 3 kids in 3 years eventually, not right away, thank goodness. That probably would have really broke us very quickly. I love my kids so much. It is killing me that they are so far away, but that's another post and another story and another time. I was married for almost 16 years. By the time the divorce was finalized, I almost made it 16 years, which is crazy. I buried myself so deep because I thought that by doing the thing that it would just go away and then I could be normal and everything would be great. And it didn't. As the years went on, I found myself more and more emotionally closed off and further from my wife, on a personal, on an intimate, on an emotional, on a physical level. I just wasn't there. I was starting to get further and further from my kids. I really feel like I was kind of there for them all the time, but things were starting to get a little bit worse. And then COVID hit. Like, it hit everybody in 2020, and it certainly didn't miss me. I'm really grateful that I was one of few who managed to not be unemployed. I worked 40 hours a week the entire time. Never had time off due to COVID. Really, really grateful for that one. But I worked remote. I got to spend a lot of time tucked in a corner of the house doing the work, and not being able to go anywhere or do anything or distract myself with vacations and adventures and time off. I spent a lot of time thinking and processing and getting through things. I don't know. We made it to September, and my ex-wife and I knew that things were breaking, and I knew that I had to get some help with anything, something, or things were going to get really bad real quick. I initially went to get help for anxiety and stress and depression. That phone call took me 3 days to make. I would dial the phone and hang up. And I would dial the phone and go through the first stage of the phone tree and hang up. And not just like one try a day, like many tries a day. 3 full days. And finally I got through. And this will be a topic for another post, another video, or on my blog or somewhere, on dealing with my faith and religion and being raised in the 90s Christian church and how that all fits. I know, and it breaks my heart, a lot of trans individuals have a very similar childhood upbringing to mine in that 90s Christian church, and many of them walked away from all of it, church, faith, from God. And that's not my story. My story is God got me here, and my faith is stronger than it's ever been. Again, another post, another time. So yeah, I got through to the medical center. I set up an appointment with a therapist, knowing that not everybody gets it right with the right therapist the first try. I just knew I needed help. I'm so grateful. My therapist was exactly who I needed to speak with at exactly the time I needed to speak with somebody. She has a history of helping transgender individuals from all points on the gender and transition spectrum. And I just felt so comfortable sitting on her couch. That first appointment, the floodgates opened and it just came out. And I have never talked to anybody like that before in my life. And to find that in my small town, without having to drive to a major metro area to try multiple therapists, truly from God. There's no denying it in my mind. On top of that, there's a doctor, my primary care physician here. She is also really experienced with transgender individuals on all points of the spectrum and transition. She was not accepting new patients, and she made an exception for me. And she's as good as my therapist. We connected, and she has helped me so much, even though I don't see her nearly as often. Yeah, that was late September. Several sessions into the middle of October, and I was finally able to verbalize to my ex-wife. She had known for a long time that I was trans. Neither of us wanted to say anything about it because we knew what it would mean if I did. But I was able to in October, I was able to look her in the eyes, and eventually to my kids as well, and say, I am transgender. I have a woman's brain in a man's body, and it is causing me some distress. Shortly after, we decided that separation was probably the best thing, and so we told my parents, and then of course I came out to my parents, to my brothers a little later. I was hopeful for a minute that maybe we'd separate, I'd figure some things out, and then we'd try a relationship, but that was a big no, which is fine. It is what it had to be. So we worked through the paperwork, we separated assets, we figured out custody, financials, all of that stuff. My wife and I handled our own divorce. And so I'm sorry, I gotta look at my notes, recompose myself here for a minute. I moved out in November. I would have been sooner, but there wasn't any place for me to go here. We did the split household thing, and then my divorce was finalized on February 1st. Now, I'll back up a little bit. And I would have moved out in October, but there's no place to go, so I found an apartment, moved out November 1st. I had seen a doctor, and I knew that this was a road I had to go down. I was tired of the stress and the anxiety. I was tired of a completely separate mental life living in my head, dealing with the dysphoria. And that's another blog post for another day, if I can figure out how to talk through that. It's so hard to explain. I started HRT. It was a big deal, and the best decision I've ever made in my life as far as medical health and mental health goes. But I started HRT on November 4th. My doctor is a fan of the slow road, which I'm grateful for. So I started a testosterone blocker and finasteride. Finasteride is only for my hair, which is slowly coming back. It's funny. I took it the night of November, my first dose, and it was a small dose. It's funny. I started the testosterone blocker the night of November 4th. I took my first dose. And I woke up November 5th and went, oh shit. Truly, my brain was clear and fog-free, and the stress and the anxiety and even some of the dysphoria was just gone. And I thought that I had given myself a placebo effect, like this thing that I'd wanted for so long that I finally had cured me. But it was the same the second day, and the third day, and the day after that. My brain, after one small dose of testosterone blocker, was like, thank you. I have been waiting for this for most of your life. I just can't explain it. My brain was clear. And I knew that I had found myself and I had found my path. Back to divorce. That was November. By February 1st, my divorce had been finalized. And I knew who I was. I knew where I was headed. I knew there was no reason to play it slow or be incognito or any of that kind of stuff. So February 6th, I came out in as public a way as I could. I didn't have anything to hide. I didn't have anything to lose, because I had found myself, and that was an incredibly empowering thing. I posted on Facebook. I posted on Instagram. I sent an email to every single employee at my employer and said, hey, I'm T. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am doing medical transition. I'm a woman, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Like literally every employee at my company. And I haven't looked back since. Learning to live with myself has been an adventure. Learning to live with my kids far less of the time has been incredibly hard, and we'll probably have a cry later about it. But I'm doing it. I started estrogen in May, and that was an interesting trip to have emotion. I watched a cheesy Netflix show, and I cried several points through it. I cried at the mid-season finale of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, and I cried even harder at the finale of Season 2, and I feel things, and I feel emotions, and it is wild and amazing, and I love it so much. Started progesterone in August, and things are where they're at, and I am at a point where I love myself. I get up in the morning, and I like who looks back at me from the mirror. I get dressed, and I think she's pretty damn cute most of the time. I do some makeup, usually on my eyes, because I still have to wear a mask at work, so everything else just rubs off. Here I am. I'm T. I am a divorced 40-year-old transgender woman, approaching her 1 year HRT anniversary. Authentically myself, and so happy to be me. That's where I'm at. From here, I guess, I think for this channel, I'm going to go into my memories in my past, some pivotal experiences in my life all kind of revolve around gender, and now that I know who I am, when I look back I go, oh, that makes sense. I wish I'd have known that then, because things would have been significantly different. So yeah, I'm going to go into some memories, talk about my experience of transitioning in a small town. It's actually been a lot different than I would have ever expected. There is a blog post and or a YouTube video, more of a discussion on faith and religion and the 90s Christian church as a kid, and figuring out how that all fits with being transgender, and how I was able to come out on the other end with stronger faith than no faith. I don't understand that one either. And just kind of whatever floats into this crazy, creative, opened brain of mine. I'm 20 minutes in on, this is actually take 2. I never thought it'd be this easy for me to just talk to a camera. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes, but, from where I was to where I am, that's a big deal. I guess that's all I've got for this intro. It was not a TLDR. It was a very long, rambling introduction. I've said it in other videos before. If you made it to the end, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate your time and your attention for this long. Time is so precious these days, and you just gave me a huge chunk of yours, and that means the world to me, so thank you for that. I am going to say like and subscribe, because as soon as I build a subscriber base, then maybe more people will find my story, and maybe my story will help somebody like others' stories have helped me. That's really why I'm doing this. We're all just people, and when we see other people who have experienced something similar and have grown and come through it in a way that's made them stronger and a better, more complete person, the least we can do is try to pass on the same, right? I don't know if any of that's going to make it. I think that whole little ending is going to get cut, but we'll see. So yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, night, whenever it is that you're watching. Thanks so much.